Pemirsa, kini kita akan kembali ikuti forum Countering the Connectivity Conundrum di World Economic Forum on ASEAN di Phnom Penh, Kamboja.
The young labor force would have a huge demand in the future. And this is the problem created by the success of ASEAN countries' growth. And how can you provide jobs to young people? And how can you make these young people a productive force? This is another big issue, ASEAN countries should look at.
I think you've hit a very important point, President Jin. We talk about the demographic dividend, but that can become a demographic curse if not enough jobs are found for the young people. With that, maybe I can pose a question to Kun Atom in terms of Thailand's own approach to creating jobs for young people and how infrastructure projects help. I mean, building infrastructure definitely creates jobs, but beyond that, you mentioned a little bit earlier about how you also look at the surrounding industries that could come forward with this infrastructure, new infrastructure projects. How do they create new industries, for example? Maybe you could give us some ideas on how Thailand goes about doing this.
Well, of course, Thailand is now in a shortage of labor force because of the changing in the population structure. And we do believe that we need the help from our friends from neighboring country. Our policy is to try to facilitate people to move in, to work in Thailand. It's not only in the infrastructure area, but it's in all sectors, in manufacturing, in agriculture, in services sector. All the people from Myanmar, from Cambodia, from Laos, even from Vietnam, and also from the Southern ASEAN as well. So we need, as I said, cross-border rules and regulation is very important. When you move people in, then you have to register so that you can have the social benefit. Because Thailand is one of the countries, I think, that we take care, we look after all the migrant workers. To my sense, they are very, very good, actually. But once that you move, the vision of the ASEAN 2025, we have two missions. One is how to move goods more freely, and secondly, how to move people more freely. Moving people, of course, it really depends on who in the shortage, okay? But moving goods is more difficult. I think we need to, as the President Lee just mentioned, that we need close collaboration. We need to talk and talk and talk. Because how to harmonize rule and regulation between the country is definitely difficult. So I think we need to talk, and it's a transaction cost at the border, as Kun Tevin just mentioned. If you carry the goods crossing from China to Laos and to Thailand and to Malaysia, then it's not only the bilateral agreement, but also the trilateral. It's more difficult. So I think right now our attempts between two countries is more easier. It's much more easier. But when start to have the third country and fourth country, then it takes time. So I still encourage that the ASEAN country should talk more and more and help facilitate all the movement of goods more freely, because our market, actually, frankly speaking, that all ASEAN country needs Chinese market.
Exactly.
And the Chinese also export their goods to our country, not only goods but the tourists. So I think the smaller country, the young country like Cambodia needs the tourists, and then that's why we need to build their physical infrastructure, but it's not enough, actually.
Right. Kun Tevin, maybe I can come to you in a question about innovation. ASEAN, like I said, is a huge market, huge potential. But from your perspective, do you see it as a market of 650 million people, or do you see separate markets within ASEAN when you start to look at investing across the region?
This is another fresh question again. But I think from 650 million expanding, we have a varied sort of a stage of development in each country. We have a varied stage of development of the way of living. And so that is somehow viewed as the disadvantage, but I see it as the advantage in having the availability of the resources at the various stage, in having the experience of the different level of development in our 10 member countries that we can share to the others. Also in the level of the innovation and technology, I think there's varied level as well in terms of development of the innovation, and also making that innovation industrial practice. I was in a session earlier with the founder of Grab Taxi, and we were very impressed with the concept that actually provide the platform for to provide convenience for transporters, as well as provide jobs for people who like to earn extra income under their own terms. So those kind of things happen in certain countries in ASEAN and can apply to others as well. I think the key to all of this, coming back to I think many of us talked about, is the level of cooperation among the 10 members. So I would like to maybe promote a theme, collaboration for competitiveness, because the WEF is actually focusing very much on the national competitiveness. But right. I think for ASEAN, if we can work together in the spirit of ASEAN and create the competitiveness for ASEAN as a group by collaboration, through collaboration, I think it would allow ASEAN to be able to capitalize on this large market, varied stage of development and resources. And the connectivity is actually, we talked a little bit about earlier about the topic of this connectivity conundrum, the very high words. But I'm seeing the connectivity as a solution to this puzzle, in that if we can really make the connectivity borderless, seamless among the ASEAN countries, then we can maybe look into a solution for a lot of problems in going forwards, and actually capture the opportunity out of the potential of ASEANs. And the connectivity, we talk about transportation, we talk about communication, energy, trading, investment. Those are the things that would actually drive the economy, but also the enabling part is as equally important, which means the connectivity in financing, right. in technology, innovation, and also in the talent building. Those are the things that would allow us to drive together. And maybe some of the more developed areas in ASEAN can be a pilot project for this innovation technology. And I'm seeing a lot of shall we say, development of ecosystem for turning the innovation into real business, into startup, happening in many of our cities. And that would be applicable to a lot of other ASEAN nations as well.
Right. Thank you very much. I think there's an interesting point about using the whole of ASEAN as incubating for other parts of ASEAN. Yeah, I mean, where we can find solutions. And maybe from the bank's perspective, do you see ASEAN as one big market, or do you see disparate markets?
I think in terms of trade in the region and the software that you nicely summarized in terms of tariffs coming down, it works more and more like one region, like one place, right? The 650 million population. But in terms of working as a bank, in terms of interoperability, Mr. Jin brought up first of all, the framework that it's a journey, right? That 2025 is a milestone on quite a long journey. And then he mentioned financial integration is, possibly somewhere on that journey. It's quite far away. But I think it's right to start talking about infrastructure and the physical connectivity. It's right to make the case for connectivity as a way to reduce inefficiencies And then it's right to talk about how we help enterprises scale, you know, and you know, when you look at job creation, to also link in, you know, unemployment, it doesn't actually come from the micro SME. It comes from that 10 million to 50 million sales turnover company that gets the help it needs to grow, to internationalize, to employ people. So it's good to start with physical connectivity, but it is certainly a multi-decade road.
Right, so it's the start, really, of the larger
Key
integration.
ingredient.
Right.